Hey Tom.
Hey, Bini, how are you? Will I
I'm
turn on a light in here?
no, you look great there. But
Yeah, look good, do I? Thank you. Can you
no,
hear me?
I can hear you perfectly well. I just need to remove, I think, your first attempt of logging in under a different name. So I'm trying to. Oh, gone. Perfect. It's over. Because did you try to log in with a different device?
No, what happened was I had opened my Zoom, the profile thing, and tried to join the meeting there, but then it said the browser didn't support it, so
Ah,
I
okay.
went back into whatever the other. I'm not very computer literate, you see, so
Who would have thought?
Yeah, I know. And I'm still pen and paper. I'm still pen and paper. Look,
Yeah,
I
but
still,
you know what?
because I never know if I'm going to have Wi-Fi in an arena, so I'm still pen and paper.
Well, that's being super prepared. And actually, there's no better feeling than writing good ideas on with pen and paper. Still,
It's a lesson. It's a lesson I learned long ago when I first started in the media. They always said, always have your hard copy because you never know when technology is going to fuck up. We're not recording, right?
yeah.
We are.
You know
Okay.
what? We are free to speak anything we want. Straight handball talk is the beauty of it. We have to be wide open about anything we want to discuss. But first
Absolutely.
thing, I just want to say, Tom, thank you so much for taking your time, joining me in Straight Handball Talk. It's really an honor to have you in this show. You are the first person that I don't personally know or had some a direct handball experience with, except the fact that I have bugged you sometimes with my personal tweets, letting you know that New York City did this, New York City did this, and you were always responded with high positivity and encouragement, which the best thing was that it always made me feel good about reaching out to you.
I
So,
appreciate that. Thank you.
but even if I don't know you personally, it doesn't really matter because you're the perfect example of what straight handball talk is all about. It's conversations between people who are connected with each other because of the extraordinary bonding power of handball. And in fact, you are that one catalyst that almost every single handball fan in the planet knows. And you are that one person that has elevated how we watch the handball games because you make us feel that we are in that arena. You make us feel that we are in that game. And you are exact a reason why I love handball so much because you make people feel that they're part of it. So, again, thank you so much for joining me in Straight Handball Talk. And I welcome you to the show.
Thank you. I've never had such an introduction. I don't think I've ever given anybody such an introduction. I think I'm blushing here. Maybe I'll turn off that light after all. But,
Well, you know what?
no, thank you. No, that's really nice of you to say. I have to say that for an Irish guy who, we don't have a big tradition of handball. It's great to know that personality can get you somewhere. And by the way, just before I forget, because of what you just
Mm,
said there, make me feel like we're in the arena. That was always my wish, because I felt like a kid being in the arena, and my idea was, I'm sure there's loads of people like me who don't get to watch handball before EHF TV came around, who didn't get to watch handball.
mm.
And I thought, I'm sure they would all love to be here. So, you got to make it. You got to sing the song.
Yeah,
You got to
well,
sing the song.
and you changed honestly. I mean, again, I've watched handball my whole life, and it was a completely different story when you enter the scene. And again, that's why soccer has so many people because they have fun, entertaining commentators all the time, and handball never had that. So it's what you did. It's amazing. But now I'm
You
gonna go
know,
back.
I had no baggage. You see, I had no baggage. I had nobody to. That's the thing as well. I remember when I was first asked to do it. I don't want to take away your questions, but I said to a friend of mine, I said, I don't really want to listen to these other guys, because I don't want to be the same as everybody else. And he said, just be yourself. He said, because then if you're yourself from the start, you never need to lie. You never need to reinvent yourself somewhere down the line. And then you start to see things. The more you watch games, you start to see things, you start to understand things a little bit better. But you don't want to lose that initial kind of, oh my
Yeah.
God, you don't want to lose that.
Yeah.
But you do, I guess it's like anything, you see so much of it, you kind of go, I've seen that before. I've seen that before. But then when something happens that I haven't seen, that's when I really,
Yeah.
the guy who first started comes back out of me like the little kid,
Well, that's the beauty of being
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You're very good. I'm going to put these back on so I can see you there.
All right. So I'm going to go to something that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know much about your handball career, but this is all I know, that you played handball from 1986 to 2003. You got your coaching licenses in Germany. You were a head coach in one of the clubs there for a little bit, and you also were an assistant coach of the Ireland national team and a national coach development for schools in Ireland. That's all I could find about you, but I couldn't find any videos of you playing handball. So I want
Thank
to know.
God. Thank God. I know. Dude, I remember the guy, by the way, the yes, I was the assistant coach because when I was made the head coach in 2000 and I don't know 6.
Okay.
And the first thing you have to admit when you're a head coach, because I was a player, I was a really good player in Ireland, a reasonably good player, but not anywhere close to the level like the guys I watch play.
Yeah.
I'd like to think I could do what they do, but I really couldn't. It's like you when you were interviewing Vranjes, when you said, I've tried to do that little thing you did. I've been trying it for 10 years and I still can't do it. I'm like that. In my head, I could do it, but maybe in the court. I was okay. I mean, I was playing against, when I played against, so we played against the kind of the smaller nations in Europe. And I always held my own against them, myself personally. But as a team, we were like every range from sort of really bad to reasonably bad, and I was the reasonably bad guy, and the other guys. But I held my own. I mean, I scored goals, I could defend, I could last about 40 minutes in a game. Unfortunately, the coach played me for 60 minutes in every game, but that was the way it was. But I played during the time when there was when you had to come back to your own half, before the ball.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that's why I was able to last for 40 minutes. I mean, the way handball is played now, probably 10 minutes. But what happened was, the first thing I said to myself was, I don't know enough. So I thought to myself, I've got the charisma maybe to be able to pull guys together, which is really important, to create a team.
Yeah.
And I teamed up with 2 guys. One was an Irish guy who was living in Germany, a guy called David Brigazzi, who ended up being a very good friend of mine, and another guy called Karsten Klavin, who was a former Bundesliga player.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my first idea was go to Germany for a training camp so these guys can see handball no matter what level. But anyway, we were beaten out of town by just about you pick the worst handball team in Germany, they beat the Irish national team. That's how bad we were. And so I met this guy, Karsten Klavin, with David, and I said to him, look, do you want to come on board with us? And he said, yeah, that'd be great. So he gave me a few pointers, and the idea was that I would come back to Ireland and I would train the team up with the pointers he gave, and then I would allow him to be the head coach. So in fairness, he was the guy kind of deciding what to do. I'd throw in a few little bits of my own, but pretty much stick to what he was giving me to do. So I would coach the team in Ireland. He would take over, and he's now, I think he's the top guy in the German Handball Federation now for youth handball in Germany.
Oh wow!
And I think he's got a really big job. I'm godfather to his son, by the way. So, and I was just talking to him the other day, but I can never quite figure out how these huge countries do things, because they've just got so many possibilities that to me it's difficult to understand. So as part of that, when I was doing that coaching role in Ireland, I decided we had to hit the schools and we had to really push. So I was pushing what you would call high school in America, secondary school, we call it here. And I think I ended up at about 17 or 18 schools playing in competition here. And I only did it for about 6 years, but it wore me down. I worked it out at one stage. I was putting in 26 hours a week, handball only, 26 hours a week.
And this is volunteer basis?
Yeah, I mean, you got some euros, some dollars,
Yeah.
you know, for petrol. But it was, but really it was because I absolutely loved it. And so this was 2006. But the funny thing was that that guy, Carson Clavine, was working for a company that was working for the EHF for statistics and so on. So that's how I got, that's not how I got the job,
Yeah.
but that's how the connection was made.
Yeah.
Because they had said to him, "You're in Ireland. Do you know anybody who speaks English, knows TV, and knows handball?" And he goes, "Actually, I
Well,
do."
that,
That's what.
that
So it's kind of weird, you know.
yeah, well, that's to me the reason, one of the reasons during this lockdown why I started this straight handball talk, because this the bonding power of handball, these little connections that we have, especially for us in US and also in Ireland, it's the you know, what we get out of this is the relationship that we create, and these relationships in handball, for some reason, in my experiences, have been lasting forever. None of them have broken, none of them have gotten worse, each one of them got better. Well, none of us are professionals, none of us are making any living out of this, but the fact that we have this connection is just incredible. And I played other sports, I've been a part of other sports clubs. Nobody has what handball has. So to
Yeah.
me, that's a beauty of handball in general. But going back to one more thing, because I'm asking every single person, because I'm really curious and I want everyone to know, it's like, how did you actually start playing handball and how old were you?
Okay. Well, there's two parts to the story, and it's been heard before by at least three people, I'm sure. You know, but what happened? I was like every other kid in Ireland growing up. I was very lucky though, because on my road there was about 7 or 8 boys, all the same age.
Yeah.
And so when Wimbledon was on, we played tennis outside. When the rugby, Five Nations as it was then, we would mess around playing rugby. It wasn't really rugby, but you know,
Okay.
and we played football every day. That was pretty much it. And I remember one day we might have only been about 11 or 12, and I can, because I bought my old home back again, you know, like about 11 years ago. So I'm pointing just down the road, there's a little green area, and I'm pointing to it now. So just on that little green area down there, we were out there one day, you know, and we were all standing around, and it was like, what will we do? What will we do today? And I said, I'm sick of playing football. I was only about 11 or 12. I said, I'm sick of playing football. I have an idea. Why don't we pick up the ball, we pass it to each other with our hands, and we throw it into the goal, and we score a goal that way? And they all said, that's a stupid idea, right? I swear to God.
Uh,
So I invented handball. I mean,
in
now,
Ireland.
before in Ireland,
Yeah.
before anybody thinks that I had seen it somewhere, which could have happened. I mean, maybe I saw it on the Olympic Games,
Consciously,
but
you remember.
yeah,
Yeah.
right, I remembered it. But we had like I'm quite old, you know, so we had like one channel growing up on our TV, you know, there was one channel. So I cannot believe I ever saw handball. But anyway, I was studying to be a teacher. This is to cut a long story short. And as part of being a teacher, I was doing a PE diploma, and this guy came in to introduce we used to have to go in every sort of like third or fourth weekend to study a course. We did
Yeah.
basketball, we did volleyball, and so on and so forth. And this guy came in to do Olympic handball, as we probably call it, or team handball as you
Yeah.
call it, to differentiate it from handball, which is hitting the ball off the wall,
Exactly.
right? And so which we have in Ireland.
Yeah, but you guys messed it up all. You brought it in United States, and now
Right,
they took the
right.
name.
That's right. That's right. And I'm sorry, I used to play that, by the way, in school. Yeah, yeah. So anyway, so this guy came in, and he was a Scottish guy. Can you believe that? It was a Scottish guy. Who, by the way, I also ended up being godfather to one of his children.
Oh wow.
I think I'm just godfather material, you know. Well, welcome to my daughter's wedding, you know. Yeah. So the worst Marlo Brando impression you're ever going to hear. But anyway, this guy, he did it completely differently to everybody else, because all the other guys were bringing in and he'd read you the rule book for like 3 hours, you know. And this guy says, okay, everybody over to the lecture theater. And he had this old 8mm reel thing, you know, of a Bundesliga game with all these guys with mustaches down here, long hair, and yeah. And he showed this game, and everybody else was yapping, and I was sitting there going, that's my game. That's the game I enjoy. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I can still visualize that moment, actually. And I had played Gaelic football, hurling, soccer, I pretty much played all the sports that you can play in Ireland. You know, I'd done athletics, middle distance and long distance running. I'd done them all, and never really enjoyed. I did them because sometimes you want to be on your own doing your running during the summer, maybe, and during the winter you played your team sports and you wanted to be involved. But I was never really crazy about it. Saw this game and just said, "That's my game." And I remember finishing the course, and I was devastated it was over, because I thought I need to, and I asked him, where can I find a club to play this game? And he said, "Oh, there's one. Where are you from?" And I said, "I'm from Temple Oak." And he said, "Oh, there's one just up the road in Tala." And I joined it. And then any time there was any training session anywhere in the universities or ever, I would call a guy and say, "Can I come to your training session?" And that was it. And so the love affair began, and it never ended. That's a bit like you, Bini. It doesn't end. It doesn't end. I mean, politics gets in the way, you know. I was listening to your interview with Nubo, you know, and you went straight to the Vesprem thing, didn't you? You just had to get it. And he was so diplomatic. I thought he was great the way he answered it. And you know, it is difficult to, you know, because no matter what you try to do, and no matter what way you try to do, there will always be people who will try and knock what you do. There will always be people who support what you do, and to try and find that balance where you're not the guy telling everybody what to do. And so I was a little bit like that A1 personality, you know, that said, "Look, I know what I want to do. I know how we have to do it." And I probably didn't make an awful lot of friends along the way. I made a lot of friends along the way, but I also pissed off a lot of people along the way too. So go ahead.
Yeah. No, and I totally agree with that, though. You know, when especially when you are so passionate, energetic, devoting the time, and you know you're going to be here for the good of the game and for the good of most, you know you're going to have those small groups of people who are going to try to interfere. But as long as, like you said from the beginning, you are who you are, stay authentic to yourself and be real, you know what? Those who get pissed off, perfectly fine. I mean, I realize that, especially in handball.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. You know what happens though, Bini? I mean, you live in a continent the size of, like, I don't know how many Irelands there are. You know, we live in a village.
Yeah.
That's the truth. And so it's a very small but passionate sport here in Ireland. You know, it's very small but very passionate. So when you do piss off people, you know, and you walk into a hall, or not an arena, let's call it a sports hall. And you realize that there's, like, you're getting the daggers. It's, you know, at some stage. So I walked away from that part of it. And to be honest, when you start a family, it's difficult to find that time to, unless of course your kids suddenly get into it, and then you find yourself maybe so. But my kids are still young, you know. So my eldest daughter is 10, but she's more interested in singing and being a superstar than sports. So. But the boys, I can see the boys. Huh?
How old are the boys?
The twins are 3. Huh? So they enjoy throwing the ball around, kicking the ball around. And then Fia, my baby, is 7 months old.
You have 4 kids?
Yeah, it's a small family, I know. Yeah.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
Small family for Irish standards, or what?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm from a family of 10. There's 10 of us, and my mother's from a family of 13.
Oh my Lord. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it is.
It's a small family, you know. She kind of looks at me and goes, "Wait, you've only got 4. What's the problem?" Jesus, Mom, I say, I have no time. Yeah.
I got to remember the names.
Yeah. Well, that's yeah. But you know, just while we're talking about them, you know, I'm actually sometimes trying to remember my English, even sitting here. Sometimes when I go away, because I speak Irish all the time to my kids, you know.
What do you mean?
It's only and with the last 3 months of lockdown, I haven't spoken to anybody. So sometimes if I forget a word in English, you'll realize that it's an issue, because I spend all day, because my wife has just gone back to school, even though there's no school on. The teachers are going back to school.
Oh, okay.
Preparing sort of for next year, you know, and so she's the deputy principal in our school. So she's gone back. So I'm with the kids all day, and I'm just going yak in Irish, right?
Yeah.
And so the words may not come as fluently as they should, you know.
So far, I understand every word you're saying. So
thank you. Well, I won't switch for you.
Well, these are great stories. So, um, I I know that in 2019, this was 2019 was your first gig with Champions League, right?
My first what?
Your first gig of
Oh,
commentary.
2009.
2009, not
Yeah,
19,
yeah, yeah.
2009.
2000. This is
Yeah, I
2019.
know. 10 years
2009.
back. Yeah. So,
10 years, but yeah,
but
yeah,
but
yeah.
you were already a TV personality, so you were very familiar and comfortable being in front of TV and doing all kind of events. So in that sense, was not a problem. But I know you said that you never did sports commentating, which obviously is a very different story when you do live presentations. So um, did you think when you took this job you're gonna mess it all up, or that was not out of that was out of the question? You knew that you're gonna nail it from the beginning.
Yeah. Well, I didn't, like I said, this is going to sound, I don't want this to sound big-headed, right? But let's be honest. Most of the commentators I'd ever heard, even if I can't understand Serbo-Croat or German or Swedish or even French,
Yeah.
most of the guys that I'd heard just sounded like they were reading a book on the toilet. Seriously, that's what it sounded like to me.
I look. I This is how I know commentating in handball. And number 9 has a ball, and number 9 passes to the left back
Right,
to the
right.
wing. Okay, ball moves back around. So it's like, dude, better don't say anything. I mean,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
so
So because I would always ask people I knew who'd been abroad, "Oh, will you get me a videotape? That'll tell you how old I am." Videotape. Do kids even know what a videotape is anymore? I'm sure they do. A VHS, right? Get me a VHS copy. So I remember sort of in, say, 2006 watching an Olympic Games from 1998, just to kind of, yeah, get something. So, and the other thing about it was, I mean, in when I just before I started this, or I was still doing it at the time when this started. I had my own radio show, and I'd never done radio before, and I'd been doing my own radio show for 4 years. And I started TV when I was 29. And I'd never done TV, and I had been, let's say, a professional singer. I'd sung with some big bands over here in Ireland and stuff like that, and I had never done that. So my feeling was that, once you get the first one out of the way,
yes.
you're pretty much ready to go. And my first, like, I know I've told these stories before, but the first thing was I didn't know who anybody was, and I learned all the numbers and all the names. And all I wanted to do was not F up the name of Karabatic, because I knew who he was, but I didn't know what he looked like.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was just praying that the number he had was his number. That's all, right? And then, of course, all the other guys that now I realize were absolutely huge handball stars, but I didn't know who they were. I didn't know anything about them. We're not talking about the internet for handball being the way it is today. You couldn't type in Uros Zorman and find,
Exactly.
So I was just delighted that I knew what his name was. I was just delighted. Like, I remember Chema was Chema Rodriguez,
Oh yes, of course.
but he wore Chema on the back of his jersey, and I remember thinking, okay, I better just call him Chema, because maybe Rodriguez is not his name, So I called, and you figure that out as you're going on the fly.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I wanted to do was, because I always remember when the guy first phoned me and said, how would you do it differently? And I said, look, this is one of the fastest games you will ever watch if you're there live.
Yeah.
And I want to transmit that speed home, because these guys commentating make it sound like nothing's going on.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
these guys are up like this. And I said, the only way I can do that in my own head, how do you show how fast the ball is moving? And I said, if you say the names. So a bit like a radio commentator would do for football or soccer or whatever. You just hear the name, he's on this side and I said, I don't care if everybody can see it. I just want to transmit the energy and the speed. And that's what I did. And then I didn't, and even though I understood what was going on, basically, these guys are playing at a different level, but I understood, and then I had to come up with like a whole load of terminology that would explain to people what was going on. But that kind of built itself in as I went along. So I had some of the terms, that I picked up along the way, and then you invent more terms, and then you go on like that. I don't want to sound like I invented everything, but that was my process, you know, and I had nobody really to, I didn't really, I wasn't trying to be better than anybody else, or I wasn't trying to measure myself against anybody else, and I didn't want to pick up things that other people said. I wanted to be original. That was it. And you know, Bini, when you decide to do something, or when I decide to do something, I give it absolutely 100%. I'm not able to just say, I'll take the money and I'll just, because I know who everybody is now, I'll just go. So even to this day, well, not to this day, but the last game I did, which was it Paris? No, it wasn't Paris. Oh, geez, I can't even remember where it was. It was, maybe it was Paris, Barcelona. Yeah, that was the last game I did, Paris, Barcelona, I think. I watched something like 6 of each of their games, you know, more than once in preparation to the game, because I can't, even though I know who all these guys are and I could walk in and just do it, I have to feel my own self that I'm ready to go. And so I was exactly the same then, and nothing has changed now. You know, you got to be, yeah.
Well, obviously it shows, and again, like you said, you're leaving an impact. You made an impact, and I think it's not the same watching any Champions League games without hearing your voice. I mean, that's what I can tell you from my perspective. And you know, I used to be super happy when I used to watch them, all of the games live. We cannot do that anymore for obviously media broadcasting reasons, but I couldn't wait to get on those games to watch them live. So, you know, you keep doing exactly what you're doing. Don't change anything. Like you got
it. Well, you know, this could be my last season doing it. Yeah, of course, because everything changes next year, you know.
Because they have the new sponsor.
No, do they have a new sponsor? Nobody tells me these things.
Is it like Dello?
Oh, no, is that the Women's Champions League? I don't know. The Women's Champions League is sponsored by them, the Final Four, isn't it, Dello? Anyway, that's above my pay grade. Basically, next season becomes the new format of the Champions League, right?
Yeah, but that doesn't matter when it comes to the voice and face. The format.
Okay, yeah, I know. But the second part of that is that all the games go to midweek, right? Which you can shuffle around. That's not a big issue. You can shuffle things around. But it's no longer the European Handball Federation. So the European Handball Federation were the guys who hired me, and I work for them. I mean, they pay me, so I work for them, right? Yeah. Okay. But now they've sold the rights to all the games to a new media company whose name escapes me. And so they're taking over. Now,
is that the German media company? I think I read about it.
No. It could be. I really don't know, and I don't want to say a name and it's wrong. And I'm terrible with names. Believe it or not, I'm terrible with names. Really shocking. Yeah. I have one of those short-term goldfish memory bowls. You know, I can remember the way things happened in a game, and I can remember sometimes I could tell you what the guy looked like, but I won't always be able to remember his name. There you go. That's my memory. Anyway, so they take over, and they take over everything. You understand? They take over match of the week and all that, and they like nobody's called me. So
that's very strange. I didn't know this. I don't
know. Worry. Hey. I'm just saying. I'm just letting you know so that you're prepared when you don't hear me anymore. You know, or if you don't hear me anymore.
Not a good idea for them, for sure. And it's not just me saying.
Life goes on, Bini. That's the way. And it's constantly changing. So I don't mind about things like that. I don't mind about things like that because that's just and then you go for the next great adventure, you know, coaching Team USA for the Olympic Games in when will those Olympic Games be on? It'll be 3 years after the other Olympic Games, right? Because they have to change all.
No, I don't think. I don't think they will change the.
No, they'll keep the year, but I'm just saying it'll be.
Oh yeah.
In 7 years' time or after the
exactly. Yeah. Well, that's a news that I I didn't expect to hear
Well,
it.
there you go. It's an exclusive. I mean, listen, I really don't know, and
Yeah.
I'm not plugging to get a job,
Yeah,
but
yeah, no?
I'm just letting you know. But listen, if someone had told me that I would have played handball so I started at 18 or 19, and
Yeah,
I played till I was 37. If they told me I'd played for 19 years, I wouldn't believe them. If they told me I'd travel all over Europe playing international handball and club handball, so I wouldn't have believed them. If they told me I'd make friends, if they told me that I'd end up coaching the team, if they told me I'd end up commentating. So, like, when I think about it, like, the last nearly 40 years of my life have been handball. And if you'd have told me that from one 8mm reel in a lecture theater in my college, there's no way I would have believed you. So, I wouldn't complain, and I'd miss it, but I think that I'd be the type of guy that every so often would ring one of the clubs and say, listen, I really just want to see a game. Can I fly in and see if I still knew people? I'd go to maybe once a year, just go to a game,
Yeah. No, but of course. But let's not forget that you invented the Irish handball.
I did, and no one gives me credit. No.
You got to bring that up more often. So, do you follow what happens with handball in the United States at all?
I mean, you did one of your straight handball talks with John Ryan, right?
Yes.
So I mean, I know John for many years in the sense that I followed what was going on, and I think you guys have some similar problems to what we have, except you've got this gigantic kind of spacing between where your teams are. And of course, you have those traditional sports that are really hard to break out of. You've got your baseball, your basketball, and your NFL, right?
Yeah.
And then of course soccer, we call it soccer as well, by the way, because our football is Irish football. But you have this situation where it's just such a huge sport all over the world that it was bound to break into America eventually. I mean, maybe someday will be bigger than those other sports. I doubt it, but it may be. And then you've got handball, and it's dedicated people who are dedicating their time and energy to do it. The Super Globe was a big thing, so I did follow you guys there, and actually I was quite surprised. I was quite surprised at the level. I mean, it's not the level, but it's a really good level. I mean, for a bunch of guys playing on their own in Manhattan or wherever you're based, just doing your thing, that's a seriously good level you've achieved for rarely getting that opportunity to play against those that are top level teams. I was pleasantly surprised.
Well, I really appreciate that, Tom. And honestly, to tell you the truth, and I didn't know this, at the end of the tournament in Super Globe, IHF sent us all the statistics. And one of the statistics was the age average. Our team had an age average of 35.7. And the closest team to us that was the oldest one was 27.5. So in my head, I was thinking, look, we are old men. I mean, I was 43 when I played there last year, 42. And I was thinking about it, like, we did this just because we are so hungry to show that we can play the game. Obviously, it showed that lack of technical preparation. And of course, the physical part was the worst part, because, those guys keep running nonstop, and they never forgive you if you drop a ball. I mean, like here, we can make mistakes and we can always come back in the United States, but there, every little mistake, it cost us not just getting tired, but also going down by 5 goals in less than 2 minutes. So I think the part where we knew we could compete with these guys, but two of the most important things that they have, which is they don't make mistakes very often, and two, physically, they are superior to us. And unless that happens with us here in US, where we have young, technically perfect people, it's so difficult to play, so challenging to play against those teams.
Yeah, but I always say to myself, when we used to, because we were in a similar position, we were maybe less physically prepared than you guys would be. I mean, you can see that you guys physically weren't in bad shape. You could see it. That was one of the things I wanted to really approach as the coach. But you're taking a guy from zero level, in other words, a beached whale, to try and get him to so he's going to get so far with good training, but then if he's not that super athlete, you know, that guy that's just,
Yeah.
you know, he's oven ready, you know, then it's going to be difficult. But I always said, you know, you can enjoy sports playing at a level that you can compete with.
Yeah.
And you sometimes enjoy it more than you do playing against the guys that, as you say, punish you for every mistake. I mean, what's the idea of sports in the end? It's actually to be enjoyed by the participants, you know? And sometimes we have this idea, you know, that you have to be like Sweden or Croatia or somewhere like that. And then I say to myself, everybody in Sweden, I played with Swedish guys and I wiped the floor with them. Everybody in Sweden's not a God-given handball talent, you know?
True. Very
So,
true.
right, yeah. So, so the idea for me, I started to kind of change my attitude a little bit with the Irish national team. And so what we did was, when we first started, not to bore you, we were getting the floor wiped us by the 11th division guys who were in the pub for 2 hours before the game, came and played us, beat the shit out of us, and went back to the pub. Within 3 years, we were playing fourth and fifth division teams, and we were beating the fifth division guys and giving the fourth division guys a really good game.
Yeah.
Now, if we played a third division game, it was like you guys.
Yeah.
They punish you for every mistake. And then you say, imagine 2 more up. But, you know, what's the point?
Yeah,
all you're going to do is hurt yourself. So that's what we started to do. And we said, look, let's get ourselves to a level where we can play, and we know we're improving. The kids are watching us. They're going to be better than us. And it happens that way. But, you know, in the United States, I'm not saying you're fighting a losing battle, because I'm positive. But you're always like the salmon swimming against the stream, except that bastard, excuse my language, can jump the waterfall and keep going to lay his eggs, you know. And it's like you guys said, eventually you're 5 goals down and you're going, where do you go? So I always say to myself, now I know you got a big sponsor there. Did some big deal, some telecom giant or something give money or something to the team, national team?
Yeah, that's a sponsorship with a national governing body. Verizon has signed up for, I believe, initial 2 years. I don't think it's a huge amount. It's $175,000 for 2 years.
It's a name. But the thing is,
exactly.
does it filter down? You know, that's the thing. You know, it's all very well and good. But having said that, what to keep a sport like you guys have done, because I think you guys used to organize the All-Star game as well, right?
We for 5 years in a row. Big Apple was a huge.
That's right. And that's why I think you know Lubo from, because he was the guy, wasn't he? He was the guy.
He was the guy. Him, Carl, myself, Christopher Montz, who is with Rhein.
Oh yeah, over in Rhein-Neckar-Löwen, yeah.
And that's the time when I wanted to bring you here. Like, I really wanted to, when after the 5th competition.
Yeah. And I really wanted to go. I was on a flight home from, I don't know where we were. Myself and Lubo ended up sitting together, and I bored the arse off him for like 2 hours on the plane. And every 5 minutes I kept saying, "Hey, Lubo, bring me to New York. I'll be the coach of the team. Come on."
I really wanted to, because it was wonderful. Honestly, I have to say, you know, we started from a tiny gym with this, because a guy calls me from Germany. His name is Carl, right? And he says, like, hey, I have few handball players that would like to come and play handball, and they want to spend New Year's Eve in New York City. Would you like to play with us? I said, I thought it was a joke. So I said, okay, who is with you? He's like, well, I have Pascal Hans, I have Lubo Vranjes, I have Magnus Wislander. He threw all the big names. I'm like, are you joking me? I said, absolutely. I'm going to arrange the gym. I'm going to arrange with my team. I'm going to arrange for a place to celebrate New Year's Eve in Times Square. And it just started like that. And then every year we built it better. We had it on Eurosport 2 years in a row. Well, 1 year in Eurosport. There were over 1 million people watched the game in Europe. And then we did another one with Sport One in Germany. I mean, it was just building up so nicely. It was really a good tournament to start making people talk about handball in US. Unfortunately, because a big part of finances and resources was coming from Andreas Rudolph, the president of Hamburg at the time.
All right. And we all know what happened there.
Exactly. So, and then, you know, I think he after we did our 5th championship and they won the title, and sort of from that point on, everything started kind of fading away, and we just couldn't afford it ourselves to do it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was tough. I mean, he was a great support.
But look what you've achieved. Look what you've achieved. I mean, I know you'd love to be, well, you're 43 now, so not for you, but for your club, right? I mean, I'm just saying, we still think it's up there, right? It's in the head, it's just not in the legs.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, just think what you've achieved, right? I mean, that's absolutely incredible. And to think you've achieved it in a country where money is king,
Yes.
you know, and if you don't have the books, you're nowhere. And you've done it, and you've kept it going. And I watched a little bit of your Straight Talk with. Now you have to remind me. Was he an Egyptian guy playing with you with Team USA? Was he?
Oh, Saeed Shalabi.
Is he playing with you, or is he just playing with USA?
You know, he played with us. He was our member of the club for many, many years.
Yeah. And then, by the way, just because now this is where I think my computer's listening to me. Because you had approached me and said, Tom, look, will you do this? And I said, of course I will. You know, anything to talk to somebody else. Not my kid. No, I'm kidding. And some guy popped up on my American guy popped up on my Instagram today. I'd never heard of him playing with Adamar Leon.
Oh yeah,
Dolan.
Yeah, I'm talking to him tomorrow. Drew Donlan.
Drew Donald, that's an Irish name, not the Drew part. The Donlan, that's an Irish name. He's got to be Irish somewhere in there. Drew Donlan, my God, he looks like he's straight out of a movie, doesn't he? Jesus.
Well, he is. I mean,
is he an Air Force guy or something? Is
he has been trained by the Air Force, so he's a military guy. He's a super nice guy, very respectful, hardworking, and he's luckily in a program of world top athlete program, which what that means is that military supports top athletes to pursue their sports excellence for a couple of years. So he doesn't have to serve in military in that part, but he can go pursue those talents and goals for a couple of years before he returns back to duty. So
wow, that's great.
And that happened with Drew. I think
I'll watch that then, because that intrigued me. I'd never heard of him, you know.
Yeah, and again, he's a nice person. And I think that's the most amazing thing about someone to hear that is doing the right steps to improve. But you never know. Again, he's going to have to go back to work, and that is serving his country more so than playing handball.
Yeah.
But you know, there's a good thing about connecting to Drew is that, and I don't know if you're aware of this, that IHF has given wild card to United States for 2025 and 2027 World Championships, leading to the LA 28.
Okay.
I think that is huge. In many ways, and do you think?
Yeah, Jay Cutler and all his crew can start.
The most.
No, I mean, listen. The IHF aren't idiots, you know, and they realize that there's a market there that's untapped. Now, you guys tried this before, if I'm not mistaken, because you would have done Atlanta. Was it Atlanta in '96?
Yes.
You did, and you played handball there, right? And they did something similar, right? They got like 25 guys and trained them up for like 6 years or whatever like that. And
yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think, first of all, America is renowned for its sporting prowess and its athletes. There is absolutely, I mean, Jay Cutler is right in a sense that you should be able to produce a team in just about any sport and win it. That's the truth. A bit like the old Soviet Union. But not what he was saying. You can't just take a guy that's played basketball his whole life and then tomorrow put him against Nikola Karabatic and all these guys and beat them. No chance. But I remember in your chat, by the way, a lot of people, if you get a chance, don't watch this one. Watch the Luba Vranjes one. I thought it was really interesting. And he sort of said that if it was him, he would go to wrestling. And I was really intrigued. And he said, I watched the way they move. Did you hear what he said that? I watched the way they move and see, does their movement, would it work? Could I go? And then I'd say, take you. Yeah. And he said, don't go for the kids. Yeah. Go for the 18, 19, a bit like me. You'd have gone for me. No, go for the 18, 19-year-old guys because you want them to be men.
Exactly.
when they go to play these men, and you want them to be at peak. And let's be honest, even though you've got a lot of guys in handball now who've had long careers, if you look at the way Barcelona is playing now, it is no longer a game, or it's not going to be much longer a game for a guy in his 30s unless he's serious, a bit like Gudjon Valor Sigurdsson. You
Oh,
know what
yeah.
I mean? A guy who just never seems to get old, and just he's like a robot, because the game has sped up so much. And just as an aside here, um, I was talking to Xavi Pascual before one of the games, and he said, Tom, have you ever thought about the game? He said that we just play it here, these 3 meters and these 3 meters. And I said to myself, there's another 16 meters you can play the game.
Yeah.
He said, that's where I want to play the game now. And if you watch it, that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And
Barcelona.
It's frightening, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
is.
frightening.
It really is. It really is.
And they've just signed Petrus until 2025. I mean, he's astonishing. That I always thought he was a great player, but he's even better now at Barcelona, and they've signed him for the next. And if you look at the age, profile on that team, I know they've given guys a bit of extra time for this last Final Four.
Yeah.
But if you look at the age profile, it's young, because he realizes you've got 4 or 5 years where you can run like that.
Yeah.
And then you can't do it anymore. You know, you've to change the way you play, which may be one of the reasons why Lubo didn't work down in West Brom, because he was trying to get guys to run who hadn't been running in a lot.
Exactly.
No, I don't mean that, but running in the way that he had that Flensburg team running wouldn't fit the age profile of the guys he had in West Brom, who played a different style of handball and were very good at it. And
yeah. No, and you know what? The funny thing is that they were actually not doing that bad. You know, like while he was there, they just good start. Then there was, of course, you could see the tension that was going on, and then even
it didn't help. It didn't help that they lost the championship either. You know, that
no,
doesn't
they didn't.
help when you lose that. But having said that, Szeged were a very good team, and look. You know what? Nothing ventured, nothing gained, you know, and that's what I said to you. You know, nothing lasts forever. You're not a shoe-in for the rest of your life just because you were good at something. You've got to take the knocks as they come along. And you know that from being involved in handball in New York. You got to take the shit when it comes. You got to take the good times, let them roll. And you just keep doing the do, you know, and you keep going. And I mean, look at you. I mean, you're all over Twitter. You've got your own brand. I mean, I couldn't get over some of the stuff that you guys got made for the Super Globe. You had your beanie hats and your scarves and your jerseys and selling them here. I mean, you know, people forget that, like, a lot of these big clubs have a guy who's in charge of doing the branding and whatever else like that. You know, maybe not as many people as we think, but the big clubs have got a lot of people working for them. You know, and then. You know, the guys that are keeping it going at the grassroots, there's one guy sweeping the floor. There's the same guys putting up the goals, the same guys buying the balls. There's, you know.
Reffing at the same time.
Yeah, of course.
Well, I know. I mean, and when you mentioned branding, you know, that's the easy, lucky part for me, because that's my real day job. That's what I do for a living. That's the part that comes easy. The second part, combined with the passion of the sport itself, is, again, it's not hard to give your time to something that you actually enjoy. And you sometimes by doing this, like I want to avoid the real work. It's like, you know what, this is keeping me happy, so I'm gonna actually focus on this one. So
But come here, tell me, how are things in New York at the moment? We're hearing a lot, you know. We're hearing I don't want to get too much into it, but the pandemic seems to be, the curve is flattening, but then you have all these protests at the moment. Is there a real danger that something could go again?
So no, I think from being the epicenter of the world when it comes to COVID-19 and being really smart and restrictive, and people understanding what we needed to do, we have really flattened the curve. There are 0 deaths with COVID. There are very, very few hospitalizations. There is only 1% people testing positive while being tested in the day. So we are in a really great position right now. Now, protests, what happened the last 2 weeks, obviously when it comes to COVID, nobody knows yet, will that increase the spike, but they really mobilize. There's a lot of tracers, and they're really tracking. They have the mobile stations to give people free testing, especially the protesters, so they can figure it out. So in general, it's incredibly controlled situation. We finally opened up. We were going through the first phase, entering the second phase, which means churches and synagogues and most mosques can open up at 25%. Restaurant can start opening up at 25% slowly. So we are doing good. I'm happy about that. Protests, obviously, I'm glad they're happening. And I know that you follow a bunch of politics from here. We are in a very critical time. And I think this movement has gained a good traction in a way that I believe, since I've been here, I've seen these movements come and go, right? This one feels different. This one feels that there will be some meaningful change, not the biggest one, but it's going to be meaningful to go to that next step. So it's a good place. It's a good situation we're in right now.
I have to say, I was never a fan of that Cuomo guy, but I think he's done quite well in this.
But the truth is, you're right. Nobody was a fan of him because he was this kind of.
He's spoken out. He's spoken out. It's good.
Yeah.
So. Anyway, let's not get into politics.
Yeah,
although
exactly.
I am intrigued. I was in touch with a guy down in Brazil as well. There was a guy in Brazil from Brazil in touch with me, like DM'd me on one of those media platform things, and he was asking me something, and I said, hey, listen. No problem, whatever it was. I can't even remember. But I said, how's everything in Brazil? I said, there's a lot of reports coming out that I'm reading that, and he goes, oh my God, it's good to know that somebody outside of here actually knows what's going on. It's actually frightening, isn't it? But then we've no time, although I have a lot of time for Sudoku now. I've become an expert at Sudoku. I know what a skyscraper is. Not a skyscraper in New York. I know what a skyscraper is and I know what an X-Wing is, not from Star Wars. But that's it, isn't it? I mean, we've got so much time now on our hands to focus on what's going on everywhere else. But
so one more thing that I wanted to bring up, and I wanted to bring up the USA and Ireland as competitors in handball. Last time they met was last year, exactly. I think last year in the Emerging Nations competition.
I bet USA beat them by 32 goals. I don't know.
No, it was by 4 or 5.
You're kidding.
Yeah, it was a pretty close game. Nevertheless, I mean, USA finished 5th and Ireland finished 11th ahead of Malta. But and you know what the biggest surprise was? Great Britain finished 4th. Can you believe it? Are you not upset?
Yeah, no. When I was coaching them, we used to beat those guys.
Yeah, I know, that's the point.
But I'll tell you, I really don't care anymore because for me, it's not about. For me, it's always the journey, right? And if you have a team that's playing now, I don't really know what's going on in Irish handball anymore.
Okay.
I took a big step back, and I coached a lot of the guys that still play in that team. They were only young guys when they started with me. But if you only have a team that's playing, and you don't have structures in place that they're the role models for the next guys coming in other words, you're just looking for the Irish passport from a better league and a better standard player. I agree that you need to do that, but you need the under 10s, the under 12s, the under 14s, the under 16, boys and girls, by the way, not just boys and girls. And you need them all playing a system that suits us, that you don't say we're going to play the German way or we're going to play the Swedish way. It suits us. So in other words, we might take a bit of what they do, a bit of what they do, and a bit of what we do.
Yeah.
So we get our own identity. And if you're not doing that, I'm not interested. I don't give a shit if you come first in the Emerging Nations as the best team that Ireland ever put out there, if that's all it's ever going to be. And you're going to say that that's it. What the English are doing, or the Britons, I don't know, what do you call people from Great Britain? The Britons? And I'm sure the Scots wouldn't appreciate that. My Celtic cousins, or Brits. I'm sure there are no Welsh playing handball, but maybe there are now. I apologise if there are any Welsh playing handball on the Great Britain team. I would imagine it's mostly England, with maybe a couple of guys from Scotland, but I would imagine it's mostly England. But a few years ago, I took my club team. I took an maybe under 15 or under 16 girls team and an under 16 boys team away to England, and we pasted every team. We pasted them. They eventually put all the best girls together on the team from the English clubs, and this was my club team.
Yeah.
And my girls beat them by 30, 40 goals. So we were so far ahead. But what they were doing was they were already bringing together their secondary school teachers and getting teachers to sort of say, look, let's make this a handball school. And they had that, they didn't sit on their asses after the Olympics. They actually went out and actively, and then they're doing these webinars online that people can join in for coaching and all the rest. And they have a couple of guys who really went on to learn their stuff. Kieran Williams is over in Norway coaching over there, and he was captain of that Olympics team. And then there's other guys. Scott Harrington, is it? Is that the guy? I just see these names. They're just. I'm not good at names. And they're involved in coaching and everything else. And they just seem to set up a good. They seem to set up a good system. And the fact of the matter is, you only need about 300 or 400 or 500 kids in an age group for 20 kids to come out of that.
Yeah.
That's all you need. You don't need, there's 1 million kids or 1 million people registered to play handball in Germany. That's great. There aren't 1 million people in Croatia. Look what they're able to achieve, Yeah. So it's about good structures. And so in fairness, I couldn't care less if Great Britain lost every single game they ever played in any sport again, England as well. I have no time for them whatsoever. None. I don't care. I've got some friends who are English, but I can't stand them. I hate them. And I don't care if that's out there. I don't care. You heard me. I have no time for them. I have no time for them in a sporting way, But I have to say, in fairness, they've done very well. But if you're not first, you're nowhere. That's it. Fourth doesn't even get you a medal, right? Yeah. No, I think that they've done fantastically well, and fair play to them, because they also are battling against cricket, rugby.
Sure.
Soccer, so they're really fighting,
There's one difference that I feel Europeans, when it comes to handball or any sports development comparing to United States, is that there is government money that funds all these programs of youth in Europe. In the United States, there is zero state government money that helps support this youth. You either have to go through certain foundations, apply certain grants, but there is no money focused on development of sports, which it's crazy, because you look at all the other countries, they always have that. Every club.
Yeah, but you see, the United States is spending all that money clearing people from Lafayette Park so that
I know.
Donald can. Hang on a minute. Let me see if I can recreate it for you here.
Yeah. Almost.
It's a notebook.
Perfect hand.
It's a notebook. I know, but don't get too carried away. There isn't. Sometimes you can do really well and get a lot of money, and sometimes you can't. But I have to say, even a little bit helps, right? A little bit helps. Yeah,
it does. For me, honestly, running a club, which I constantly need to raise money and talk to my clients to support them in certain ways so they can support the not-for-profit. Membership fee is very, very little. It just covers certain expenses. So to me, all I care, if I want to grow more, if I want to have those young kids, I cannot really ask the coaches or people who are volunteers to commit for a year or 2 years to really do that job for free. Because again, we live in New York City. One, life is expensive. Two, there are many things they can do. Many things. So if somebody wants to commit, I would want you to have at least your time taken care of, because you're doing something for the sake of the sport, and you can't just do it for free. You can do it for 3 months, because enthusiasm runs out too, right? But if you have
but how many people have you got in your club?
Well, we have usually during the year, we have 100 members, around 100 members that are come and go, which is the most in the entire country as a club.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not enough. And the reason why it's not enough and why I don't promote to have more members, because we cannot fit them in the 2 gyms that we practice twice a week. Not enough space. Sometimes we have 40 people at the same time in a gym that is smaller than a basketball court. We don't have full handball courts. So it becomes, it's fun, it's exciting, it's very different. But to really do handball related drills and games, it's impossible. We never play in a full court unless we play a game away.
All right.
So,
Okay.
so it's.
Well, you're speaking my language. Yeah. I'll tell you a funny story. We have something in Ireland called summer projects, right?
Yeah.
Which is where all the kids are off school and there's like a week of activities run by the local parish, so the local town, right? And the kids all join up and they go off here, they go off there, and all the rest, right? Anyway, the Handball Association in Ireland had this Spanish guy who was their handball development officer, and he was doing this. Summer project. So he called me and he said, "Tom, can you maybe come out and give me a hand?" Right? I said, "Sure." And we went out to this. Now I wouldn't even call it a gym. It was like a shed, right? So it was about like 4 meters long, and 3 meters wide, and there were no goals. And the guy walked in and he goes, "What am I gonna do?" I said, "Tell the kids to take off their jumpers, put them on the floor. There's your goals."
Yeah.
And we ended up playing games with these kids in with 2 jumpers as the goal. And every kid knows that, right? From playing football, the 2 jumpers are the goal. Yeah. And the guy said, "Oh my God, you're a genius." I said, "What are you talking about?" But he was sweating because he was thinking about Spain. If I walk into the gymnasium, it's 40 by 20. I could split it into 3. I've got 6 sets of goals. I could,
Yeah. Well, that's the different.
Now I'm even more impressed with what you do, Bini.
No, Tom. Honestly, that's what drives me crazy. We are in the. I love the city. It's the greatest city in the world, and we don't have goals. Same thing. Still don't have goals. 2020. We don't have lines on the court. Like, we still do it every day. We have practices. It doesn't feel bad, honestly, because it still makes you feel like you're in the beginning of something. Fine. But I know there are a lot of people that come in, and I remember some good players come in like, I'm not coming to practice a lot because we don't have a full court and we don't have the goals. I always look at them like, are you kidding me? Like, it's not that the reason why we're doing this to be in a full court. We're doing this because we really love the sport and we're going to keep it alive no matter what.
Do you know, one of the things you said at the start there was really, really interesting. You said the guys, you make these friendships and they kind of last, right? Our club it was called Lunasa Handball Club. And at its height, at its best, we had all the underage groups in boys and girls, and we had a women's team, although it was kind of like the older girls and some older women, and all the underage boys, and we were training. The men's team was training 3 times a week, and all the underage kids, bar the minis. The minis were training once a week, and all the other teams were training twice a week, right? Yeah. So we had something like 150, 160 members at our height, right? And it was absolutely fantastic. And some guys would come down. So one of the nights we trained, we had a full. It was about 38 meters long, but it was 20 meters wide. For me, that's as good as, right?
Perfect.
And then the other hole was 20 meters wide, so we could train there, and it was only maybe about 24, 25, but that was your attack, defense, or your individual kind of skills, right? And so exactly like you said, some guys would come down and they'd go, "Oh, where's the physiotherapist?" This kind of horseshit. And I'd go, "Oh, the physiotherapist. See the door with exit on it? He's out there. Good luck." And you always knew the guys that you were going to be friends with forever, but the guys who come in and go, "What do you need me to do?
Yeah.
What do you want me to do? How can I help you?" Not the guy that was saying, "Oh,
exactly. Yeah,
exactly. But fast breaks." Yeah. No, you can't. No, you can do them, but do them in the car.
Go outside. Go in the street.
Yeah. Go out in the rain.
Yeah. Well, that's good. We still share the same ways of the way handball became. Okay, I'm going to ask you a couple of trivial questions because I know it's getting late.
Go ahead. Don't mind. I'm worried about yours. People will start tuning out after, I don't know how long this has gone on for.
It doesn't matter. People listen to it. They They enjoy this conversation. I've been getting a lot of great feedback, obviously, because initially
Really?
it was supposed to be only one time because I had time. I was like, you know what, let me do this because, you know, I was remembering. But now I keep getting all this feedback and reviews and people want me to do more. And I'm like, okay, well, great. I'll just keep doing it until we get out of this COVID crisis. But again, this Straight Handball Talk, I have a feeling is going to be Straight Handball Talk with Tom pretty soon. I just know it. I really know it.
That's what. Let's wait and see. People may not remember me after all this is over. You know.
It will be.
Okay,
Okay,
go
so
ahead. Ask your questions. Okay.
Your favorite player of all time?
I knew you were going to ask me that. And you
Right,
know why I don't? Do you know why I never answer that question? I never answer that question because I always think I'm going to piss off about 120 other guys. I'll tell you what, if I could have had one guy on my team, that's a better question. So not my favorite handball. If I could have one guy on my team, a
Okay,
guy
that's a good rephrased question of saying who's your favorite player of all time.
Okay, I'm not going to do that either. I'm going to say the guy I admire the most. It's only because of one thing. In 2012, Kiel won the Final Four, right?
Yeah.
And there was a Czech guy, I think he might be involved in the coaching of the team. His name is Kubeš. Hadn't played a minute the whole season.
Yeah.
And there was some injury or something, and he came in and he won. He was defense specialist, Kubeš, and he won the game. And I said to myself, he's a guy I would want in my team because he sat there the whole year, never got a minute, and when the time came, he was ready to rock and roll. No bullshit. Yeah. Kubeš, can't remember his first name. It'll come to me, but it'll come to me as soon as this Zoom call's over. But you know, there's a lot of good guys. There's a lot of really, really good guys in handball. It'd be difficult to just pick one.
You know what? I know it's, and I keep always reminding myself that this is a question you don't ask people like you, or you don't ask guys like Lubo, because obviously you have seen and you know quality of players. But I get it, and it's not about the best player. But
I'll tell you one guy who used to always piss me off, right? Watching him play, and I absolutely love him as a person. But I would watch him play, and I would think, man, that guy. We have a word in Ireland, a sham, right?
Sham?
I'd say a sham, S-H-A-M, a sham. In other words, he's not all that, right? Yeah, but unfortunately, not unfortunately, he is all that. Peter Nenadic. Oh. When I watch him play, I say, oh my God, I would hate to be his teammate because I don't know what he's going to do, right? But when you watch him up close, Jesus, he's brilliant. Or Duvniak in his, although the last Euros was good. Yeah. But you know, lots of guys, Victor Tomas, Gudjon Valor, they're all... Gurbindo, he was a guy that I would have on my team every time. He was brilliant. Underappreciated, in my opinion. Eduardo? Jeez, he's going to kill me. Gurbindo, brilliant. Anyway, carry on.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Petar Nenadic because he's
Oh, did I say his name wrong, baby? Sorry. Nenadic. Sorry about that.
That's one thing I have advantage over you because I could not butcher the Balkan names.
My God. I'll give you a great story, right?
Okay.
Metallurg back in the day, and we were all staying in the same hotel in Belarus somewhere. Minsk. Is Minsk in Belarus? It is.
Yes.
So we're all staying in the same hotel, and they are giving me a history lesson on how to pronounce their names.
Oh my God.
Right? Oh yeah, it was brilliant. So we're all sitting there. I won't say what we were doing, but we were all sitting there and drinking coffee, of course. Yeah. And they're telling me how to pronounce the names. And there was a red-headed guy played right wing called Georgievsky. That's red-headed.
Yeah.
Yeah, easy. Yeah. Except when I read it, it's Georgievsky, right? And I've been calling him Georgievsky for years. And they all said to me, Tom, you know, with that accent, you know. His name is Georgievsky. And I said, hey, if he's got red hair, he's Irish. Yeah. He's Georgievsky. That's it. And he said, no, Tom, I love when you say, he said, he was real shy. I love when you say Georgievsky. I said, okay, I'm going to keep saying Georgievsky. But there you go. I can't, look, you know, I think people have to appreciate that I'm not going to get every Swedish, I'm not going to try and sound like a Swede saying a Swedish name. I'm not going to try and sound like a Dane saying, oh God.
Yeah.
You know, choking on my own spit as I try to swallow my own tongue. So, you know, So you've got to, I read them phonetically. I try to make them sound as close as they can be without trying to sound like a complete idiot, trying to sound Serbian or Croatian or Bosnian or whatever. Anyway, carry on. Sorry.
Okay, so
I feel like we're sitting in the same room. You know that it's bizarre.
That's why I love this. I love this Zoomcast. Honestly, it just I'm getting so used to the whole idea of talking to people this way that I cannot do any more regular phone calls. It just doesn't work for me anymore.
Yeah.
Your favorite arena?
I have a few.
Okay.
Barcelona, when it's absolutely full in a key game, is just the dust supports the team. You know, it's like it's a no dusty arena. And I remember I used to date a girl in Barcelona. I used to fly over and back, and before I started this, and I used to fly over and back. And when she'd go to work, I'd go down to the Nou Camp just to see the Palau Blaugrana, and it was always closed. They would never let me in. And I think to myself, oh my God, how many? And I don't know how many times I made that journey. So I love that. I think Kiel, just because it's 10,000, it's amazing. Veszprém on a good day. On a bad day, you don't want to be there. The new arena for Vardar is amazing as well. And Szeged's just, it's not a beautiful arena, but they make 2,500 fans sound like 25,000. That's one of the best. So I like it there too. But then I was up in Norway for that big 11,000 fans or whatever they had, 12,000 fans when they played Paris earlier or in the early start of the season.
Yeah.
What's it called? Where they had the Olympics, the Winter Olympics, all those years ago.
Lillehammer.
Jeez, you can even pronounce Swedish. Lillehammer.
That's very
anyway up there, and that was amazing too. But I would say Kiel and Barcelona for sure are, and Veszprém. I used to always be a bit worried going to Veszprém, but lately I have really started to enjoy going there, and yeah, those three for sure, and Szeged, yeah.
So what you've been to a Zagreb arena? Is that any close to being exciting at all or no?
I was there once when they played Barcelona and it was almost full, but it seems to be that everything's too far back. It's like it's like you've got a running track nearly around the arena. So lovely people now. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I can't believe Zlatko Horvat. I know I said his name wrong, but that's what I call him. Zlatko Horvat is leaving. Can't believe it. And I always look forward to seeing him.
But you know what? This is my opinion, my speculation that there must be something going on with Vori and him, because there is no way Horvat would leave being there from the beginning of his career. And the only assumption I have, something to do with Vori. That's all I
remember one time I walked into the Final Four and there was all these kind of, I will say former Yugoslav kind of players all sitting around this big circle. And I went, boys, how are you? You know, this is maybe 6 or 7 years ago, and there wasn't a sound. And Igor Vori was sitting at like the head of the group, you know. There was about 20 or 30 of them. Yeah. And I said, all right, fuck all of you. I walked on, right? And of course, guys were coming over to me after saying, Tom, we're sorry. You know. I said, you. And there was F-bombs going everywhere, right? And in the end, they all said, oh, look, Tom, we're sorry. I said, look, I don't work that way. You either say hello to me, you don't say, don't become up, you know, right? And I said, and Igor Vori sitting there like the godfather at the head of the table thinking he's all that, right? Anyway, I met him and I said to him, and you, big man. Now, the guy, I mean, and I said, and you. And he goes, Tom, come on, give me a hug. Jesus Christ, he picked me up. I swear to God. I think he broke about 3 of my vertebrae. And we've been pals ever since, right? So I won't hear a bad word said about Igor, but look, in you know the way it is. Yeah. There's always, I don't know if that's the story now because I've never heard that. But
speculation. I'm just speculating.
But you know the way it is. You put any amount of people in a room together, they all get on with each other for the sake of the team, but there's no way they all love each other. No way.
No, of
Not a
course not.
chance.
Yeah, of
Not a
course not.
chance.
This
Anyway,
is just,
but it's still a pity. I'll tell you, I did the last game I did there in Zagreb. They played against Vardar on Vardar's victory. But they were playing Vardar in the first leg of the last 16, and Vardar killed them in the stadium. I mean, I couldn't believe it because I thought it'll be a close game. I thought Vardar would win by 1 or 2, or maybe Zagreb could have a good game. And at the end of the game, I always do an interview with the winning team captain or one of the winning players, because I always think, what are you going to ask the other guy? How are you feeling? You've just lost by 15. How do you feel? Yeah, how did that feel? Getting your ass handed to you on a plate. Anyway, so I did the interview with the guy, and next of all, Zlatko Horvat is standing beside me. Tom, I'm ready to do an interview. I said, okay. And I thought, what a guy. Yeah. They've just been murdered on the court. And he does an interview, not even being asked, just wants to do an interview. And I thought they're the kind of guys that you admire in sport, that are not the camera doesn't frighten them. Yeah. And they kind of want to let you know that we're feeling what you're feeling. Do you know what I mean? As a fan. Yeah. And he just went up. I always liked him, but he went up so high in my estimation after that. So it's a pity he's gone, because I think he's been a great player for them.
Yeah, he was a great member of that team. So, anyways, hopefully he's going to be better wherever he's. Well, where did he go in?
I think did he go to Meseberg? Is it Meseberg or Vardar? I think he's going over there somewhere. Yeah, but then I saw Shishkarev is going from Vardar to Vesprem.
Oh wow.
I think I saw that today. Yeah.
Oh, there's with Vardar.
I don't even know why I'm still keeping up to date with all this shit. I mean, what am I doing? I'm unemployed. I'm sitting in my office. By the way, what do you think of my picture? Here, let me show you this. This is my favorite ever picture from handball.
Let's see.
So a friend of mine, can you see it?
A little glare, but yeah, I see. Oh, look at that.
So there's Christian O'Sullivan, right?
Yeah.
So I'm telling him that he's Irish there. No, and because I put a friend of mine, a guy called Strength Spiller. I think you probably follow him on Twitter, do you? He's like Strength Spiller. He's on Twitter.
Oh yeah, Strength Spiller.
Yeah, he does all the photography. He goes to all the big events. Sure. Anyway, he took that photograph and he showed it to me, and I said, "Oh my God!" I said, "That is the best photograph I've ever seen." Now I look shit in it. Yeah, I do. I remember I was about like 15 kilos overweight, but it's just the picture, the framing. It's like you're talking to a guy and it just captures that moment, right?
It's a great moment. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's a great moment. And so he sent it to me, and I have it up in my office. Show you another one, right? Just while you're there. So this was my under 17 Irish boys team and our girls team that went away to Germany. Look how many of them there are there.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, it's a great photo, isn't it? I keep that one as well. As a kind of as a little memento.
Well, good memories.
Good times, you know. Yeah, good times, because I'll tell you, this is not a good time. But anyway, that's there you go. Yeah. Anyway, keep going. Ask me some more.
So I'm going to ask you, who's winning this year's Champions League?
Oh man, I was hoping you wouldn't ask me that question.
No, but you know what? You know, these are predictable.
No. Questions. Yeah, no. That's a good question. It's just I was kind of worried that you might say to me, Tom, what do you think of this year's Final Four? And I was going to.
All I care is about the winner, because.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but I was going to be diplomatic and say, well, you know, we all need a little bit of hope in our lives, you know. we all need some handball in December now that the All-Star game isn't in New York anymore.
They're doing it the exact time that I was doing it. I was like, that's genius. Right. That's a perfect time to do something.
I know, exactly. Yeah, but there's a lot of ifs and buts. But anyway,
in New York City, I'm saying that they should come.
Oh, that'd be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Forget about.
You don't have a hall. You don't have an arena, do you?
Yeah, we just have Madison Square Garden.
That's true. That's true. Forgot about that place. Yeah, I've been there. I've never been inside. I've stood outside.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah. Anyway, if momentum is everything in handball, right?
Yes.
It's absolutely everything. And if you asked me what team going in, like I would have said to you that those 4 teams were almost a shoe-in to get to the Final Four this year. I mean, Veszprém scraped that second position, but they deserved to scrape it. They were getting better and stronger and stronger. Kiel didn't need to. I mean, they'd already qualified with 2 games to go, even though they'd had a couple of dodgy results, but they were playing good handball. My God, they were playing. And Duvniak was playing. Zarabets was playing great handball. So lots of them. And then if you look at the other side of the draw, Paris, the only team that I thought in that group that could beat Paris was Barcelona, and Barcelona was playing handball out of this planet. And depending on the way the draw would go, because we never know, I would love to have seen Barcelona against Kiel in the final. Not because it's Barcelona and Kiel, but because of the 2 styles that they were playing. I think Veszprém plays a lovely style of handball, but they're not quite where they need to be yet. They're not quite playing the perfect style, but it's beautiful to watch. And I would have said that Barcelona would beat them if they didn't shoot themselves in the foot. So I would say Barcelona would win it.
Well, it's Super Globe. It was Kiel, Barcelona in the finals, and we watched the game. And obviously, Yeeha was doing this amazing. Kiel was playing so amazing. Like they went back to the old Kiel, really a great handball. And I really thought Kiel is going to destroy Barcelona because, they felt they were bigger. They moved perfect. But of course, when you play Barcelona, they destroy that mechanism of Kiel at all times. They just don't let them do that smooth opening up. They're like pests all over the place.
Do you know why? Do you know why? Because they don't. Because if you're playing, so if I look at that Kiel team now, I say Yeeha's been very clever. He hasn't changed too much. He's kept Alfred's system, right? And in fact, I was talking to Alfred Gislason a couple of months ago. He was on his way. He phoned me actually because I sent him a text message and said, Alfred, how are things with this whole, because it was quite early in the thing. And he was going to his first German national team training session. And I was talking to him and I said, it looks like it could still be you there, but Yeeha's doing a great job, don't get me wrong. And it's difficult to keep everybody happy, and he's doing a great job. But the system looks pretty similar. Like you said, it looks like the old, right? And so they're used to playing against systems of a 6-0 or a 3-2-1 or a 5-1, right? Your basic kind of, and then they go, okay, this works against this works against this. If I do this, you're going to do this, and then blah, 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 blah. That freaking Barcelona team doesn't do it. I couldn't even, there is no name sometimes for the way sometimes it looks like a 3-3, and then the 3-3 morphs into like a 3-2-1-1, and then it turns into something like on front of your eyes.
They
and you can't adapt. They're like the Borg. I said that they adapt, and suddenly you've no avenue here, or you've no avenue there, or suddenly all 6 of your players are over here, and you're going, what the hell just happened? And they don't. What I love about them is, the way when you coach kids, you say, steal the ball, steal the ball, steal the ball. It's always about that. It's not about you learn the grab later, don't you? Yeah. You steal the ball, move your feet, steal the ball, block with your body. Yeah. And they do all those things like they're playing under 14 handball, and then they fast break like they're playing under 14 handball, except they never drop the ball. Right.
True. Yeah. I mean.
So anyway, look, if there's any justice in the world. And that's questionable at the moment. If there's any justice in the world, they'll do it. The question is, what teams are we going to see? That's the other thing for me, because it's going to be who you are playing with now or in December, not who you are playing with then. And to me, that look, I want to see the Final Four. I want to do one last Final Four. Yeah. I'm not arguing the case about whether or not they should do it. That's not up to me. If the clubs want to do it and the HF want to do it, then that's what has to happen. Yeah. But it's the only thing that kind of changes it a little bit for me, that now suddenly you've got one of the best players on the Paris team playing for the Kiel team. And You've got guys who would have been there, like Dragan Gajic for Veszprem, who won't be there.
That's
Or
very strange for sure.
yeah, it's just little small things, but like if it was the Twilight Zone, you'd accept it, you know.
No,
It's kind of like the Twilight Zone, isn't it? A little bit.
it really is. I personally, I'm just thinking from the perspective of, let's see if I have my team and I have one of my best players all of a sudden has to play for the other team in the finals that I'm going to play against them. And he knows everything we do and how we do it. That's first thing. Second part, he was a part of the whole soul of the team. And he was just, he just,
Right.
I mean, I know I believe in professionalism on everything, but that breaks apart a lot of things. So
Yeah, the other side of things is, you know, somebody like Victor Tomas or even Raul and Trellios, who looked like, were the Olympics supposed to be this year? They were. Geez, sometimes I don't even know what day it is anymore, Bini. I'm sorry. Really, that's true. And so I think they were supposed to both, well, definitely Victor was going to retire because of the heart complaint at the end of the Final Four well, it would have been last weekend or the weekend before, I can't remember. And I think Raul probably would have played for the Olympic team. I don't know if the Spanish coach was going to select Victor. That's up to him. I would have a different view on that, but because I think defensively he's one of the best defensive wingers in the world, Victor Tomas, you know, and I think he complements very well with the Gomes boy. That's playing in
he's
Barcelona.
also a great leader
Yeah, absolutely. And he's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, you know. So anyway, look, that's neither here nor there. But now the question is, Sterbic retired because he said, look, my body just wouldn't be able to get itself back up again to whenever this might start up again. And you say, okay, fair enough. So now you've got a guy with a heart complaint and you say, okay, what does he do? Does he play for 4 months to play in the Final Four? Does Raul not retire now and go the full year and a half, which makes him 40 something? Now, don't get me wrong. If you watched him up at those Euros, he was in fantastic shape.
Yeah,
but you understand my point? It's like there's a lot of things where you have made plans and those plans they've been shelved, they've gone to the bin. What happens? Let's wait and see. And by the way, let's wait and see if it can actually go ahead. I mean, my fingers are crossed. And my fingers are crossed that social distancing is over by then. My fingers is crossed that they've come up with a miracle cure or a vaccine or something by then, that we can have 20,000 people in the arena. Because I am by my nature quite a huggy person, you know. I mean, I'll hug you right now. I'll virtually hug you. No, but you know, I'm a huggy person, and I like to shake hands and I like to say hello to people. I like to be in close contact. Not a space invader, you know, but you know, I like that face-to-face kind of thing. And if that's not going to be allowed, what am I doing? Am I sitting there at my desk just saying, keep your head down, wear your mask when you're not talking? You know.
Yeah, no. Like, you know what?
I'm making fun, but do you understand my point?
I do understand your point. And honestly, again, I'm being very optimistic because I see what happened in 3 months. Everything changed in everyone's life, everywhere in the world. But I see the progress that has happened in the last 2 weeks. And I have very high hopes that we're going to be okay by December. Because if we're not okay by December, God forbid, we'll never be okay until that vaccine comes up. But it's the way things are moving, the way people are understanding the disease a little bit more and understanding that, okay, well, you know what? Yeah, screw it. We're going to have to wear those masks for a while. But Asian countries have been doing it for forever.
And how many times have we laughed at people walking through airports wearing masks for 20 years? And you're going, what are you doing, guy?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the whole taboo of wearing a mask in New York is gone now. You don't say, oh, yeah, look at them, the Japanese tourists. No, they were the smarter ones. So anyways, I'm really hopeful and optimistic that by December.
Me too.
Yeah. So one more question. Guinness or any other beer?
Well, I'm not really a beer guy anymore. I'm a wine guy, and I'm not even a wine connoisseur actually at the moment. In fact, if it's red and it's wet, it's going down my throat right now. But I have to say, for anybody who has never tasted a Guinness, all right, well, we have a theory that it doesn't travel well. They always say that it's. I'm originally from right where I was born was right beside the Guinness Brewery, right? And
Yeah.
they used to say that you didn't have to feed kids. It's called the Liberties is the area, right? And they used to say you didn't have to feed kids in the Liberty because they got their nourishment from the smell of the hops and the barley or whatever else they were. Because there's when you walk down there at certain times of the day, there's a smell that you just go,
Yeah.
oh, you know you're home.
Breakfast.
Right, breakfast, lunch, dinner, the whole lot. But if it's a cold, wet winter's day, okay, and you go into a bar somewhere and you're saying to yourself, man, I just can't drink a cold beer. It's freezing out, and you really don't want a whiskey. A pint of Guinness is so creamy and chewy and just it's great. Now I haven't drunk Guinness in a long time, by the way. But now that you've mentioned it,
Now that the way you're promoting it, I want to go get one right now.
exactly. Yeah. I mean, seriously, it's a good beer. Now, I wouldn't be drinking a lot of them because the next morning you really pay for it. Not with a hangover.
No, I know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Well, Tom, this was so much fun, and I'm truly honored, and I'm so happy that we had this conversation, and it's not the last one, and we're gonna really be in touch. I want to pick your brain. I want to work together with you in this project really a lot. And again, hopefully everything settles down, and I'm sure whoever is taking over Champions League will have no doubt to keep you, because at least everyone in United States that I know likes to watch the games with you commentating them. So in that sense, I want to be in touch. I want to work with you in this Straight Handball Talk, and I'm going to take it as far as we can to make it a part of this entire handball community.
Why not? Let's do it.
We're going to do it. I promise you.
Stay safe.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. Thank you. And
okay.
We'll see you soon.
Take care, man. Bye.
Bye-bye.